It's Bella Cloud, and
Schenck.
here at the most beautiful garden site, Growing Gardens. It's Hawthorne's version of magic. Anyway, we're here today to show you what's growing wild here. And there's a lot of medicinal and edible plants that are just volunteers that the earth gives us without us having to try too hard to work for it. It's a freebie from Mother Earth.
We're here with alfalfa. Alfalfa grows as a weed, essentially. It grows everywhere, at least in Colorado. We often think of alfalfa uh, as giving it to horses, but they give it to horses because it's so nutritious. Um, it has the alphabet of vitamins in it: vitamins A, B, C, D, E, and U. An herbal multivitamin.
Yeah, and it's
um,
also considered anti-arthritis because it lowers blood cholesterol and it lowers blood sugar and it balances your system. It's very harmonious.
so a major antioxidant, and it's anti-inflammatory. Like Bella was saying, it can help with arthritic symptoms, which arthritis is essentially high inflammation in the body. So it's a very practical herb with lots of uses.
And one of my favorite nettle patches on the land here at Growing Gardens. It's so beautifully green. And all I can say, my favorite thing to say about nettles is there's oils in nettles that when you pick it can cause irritating bumps on your skin. That's because nettles moves blood stagnation throughout the body. It moves blood very rapidly. The essential oils in it can do that, volatile oils. But nettles is also one of the herbs that are very nutritious. Like you can make a nettle soup. In fact, my kids know that we lived partly on nettle soup when they were younger because I lived on wild foods for a while. And it's very high in iron and other super nutritious things. But
I've successfully used nettles, harvesting them, drying them, and using them as a nettle tea daily, which has helped my allergies tremendously. Tremendously. Like, I've tried antihistamines, all sorts of different things with side effects, but using nettle tea actually kind of cures my allergies when I do it regularly, and it clears up your skin, which makes
right,
sense if it's moving blood.
it's a
And
it's a very beautiful ancient plant, and I used it when I was raising my kids on herbs for reducing fevers. So
yeah,
you can make a tea and they can bathe in it, or you could put compresses on the back of the neck of yarrow tea, and it did. It's like a Tylenol. It would take the fever right down.
yarrow is a beautiful flower. Well, you can use all parts of the yarrow plant, but most typically we harvest the flowers. Um, and yarrow is well known as a blood clotting herb. It can be a very strong herb to not be used without some caution, but because it's very, very effective at blood clotting and stopping bleeding. So there were soldiers, well known soldiers would pick this and put it on open wounds, and it would stop the external bleeding. Antiseptic as well. So not only does it like stop bleeding, but it will disinfect
Right.
wounds.
I'm willing to bet most people have seen these in the wild and along the mountain roads. They're peaking right now.
Yeah.
And these yellow flowers are very traditional. In fact, I learned it from Yule Gibbons, an ancient old timer herbalist, that you take the yellow flowers and put them in olive oil, and then you use it for your ears. So I've actually stopped ear infections in young children and older children with the mullein flowers. Although I'm a synergist, so I take the mullein flower and put it in olive oil, and then I'll add hydrogen peroxide, and then I'll add a tincture of wild lettuce for numbing the pain. We'll show you wild lettuce later on. So it's very effective. You could put garlic in for antibacterial, but your ears will smell like garlic. Not too many kids like that.
It's also well known as, is it a lung stimulant
It's an
or
expectorant.
expectorant?
See you can't really tell from the video, but the mullein leaf is fuzzy, and the way I describe it is the pollutants that are particularly irritating in our lungs um, are absorbed by the mullein leaf, and it's also a sedative for the lungs for coughs. So it's pretty important to learn your respiratory herbs in this day and age.
Yeah.
So. California poppy is in abundance here. Like all the poppy family, California poppy has also a mild sedative quality to it. Um, I prefer the mild personally because I don't want to have that. And people who are super sensitive might also have that after effect of a sedative. But when the nervous system, sympathetic nervous system, and parasympathetic nervous system are overstimulated or overexcited, it's really good to have on hand something that will calm it down. And so what we do is tincture, and tincturing means basically for us is taking a quart jar, a mason jar, sterilized, and packing it with the flowers. I use some leaf too, and pouring some kind of alcohol. Say potato vodka is your best bet, but you pour it in a solution over the poppy flowers, and then let it sit for at least 2 weeks in a darker, cooler spot, not in direct sunlight, and then you strain out your liquid. Growing gardens, friends. We're right in front of one of my favorite plants, hops, and that actually grows wild pretty much all around the garden. There's a canopy of it. So, in case you don't know it, beer lovers, you're using hops every time you drink beer. It's not only a wonderful calming herb that helps, it's sleep inducing, but it also can rebuild damage in the nerve synapses. So, and it's super high in a lot of the B vitamins. You can taste it when it's young. As it gets older, it's really bitter. You can taste the buds, you can taste the young little plant.
It makes a great tea as well.
When I first learned about borage, it was from an herbalist who gave me a quote: "A garden without borage is like a heart without courage." And that has always stayed with me. And not only because of the beauty, but borage has EFAs, essential fatty acids. The seed has the oils, but every part of the plant is also good for the heart. It's a good remedy. It's actually considered a very mild antidepressant. Borage is not indigenous, but it naturalizes. So once you plant a seed and it establishes itself, it will reseed freely. This is a reseeded patch. All over the garden here is a reseeded borage patches. So that's a plant that's easily adaptable. And my theory is the more you use adaptable plants, the more adaptable your body becomes to the environment that we live in. Very important in this age, adaptability.